G'day folks. Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to solve this axis cube. Now, this is a pretty popular 3x3 shape mob. What am I, the mafia? Popular shape mod, and I think it's because it doesn't look too bad, but it does cause quite a few problems. In fact, the centers of this thing are not any bits in the center. You can see there are actually no bits in the center. So it's still a normal shape mod, so it's got centers, edges and corners, but they're going to be slightly different. Now, even then I've gone to turn that and gone, what? It's quite bamboozling. So the first thing that I'll try and do is identify where's it turning. Okay, here we go. So you can see there, that tells us that that piece is a center. We know that the edges are pieces that are between centers. So if I turn that and I note that that's a center, my four edges are this, this, this and this, which tells me that my other centers are going along here. So my centers have two colors on each sticker. What about my edges? And they're all small pieces, I should say. My edges, well, some of them are single color trapezia and the others are two color longer pieces, and therefore my corners are whatever's left over. And so I've got this type of corner, I've got this type of corner, and so it is pretty bamboozling. So in order to scramble it, you've got to at least turn it so that the cuts line up and you can start moving things around. That's what I'll do now. And before you know it, if you don't have your wits about you, you get this given to you and you've never seen it before, you'd probably be thinking, what kind of madness is this? It's going to keep scrambling until nothing looks like it belongs next to where it should be, which is not too hard because before long it's starting to look like this, and you know what, I reckon that'll be enough. So as we begin, we keep note of the fact that these things are centers. What I like to do first is to try and get a sense of orientation and just start thinking about my centers. How can I place these centers? Well, if I look here, I've got a white here and I've got another white here. So just as a starting point, I'm going to put those two whites together. I'm then going to see what that produces, a red here and a blue there. So by rights, that should mean I could turn that one and the blue should be flush with that blue, which it is, and the red should be flush with that red. What's next? I can sort of move over here and do the same sort of thing with the other three. So I want to try and place the oranges to go together, the greens to go together, and the yellows to go together. Now clearly the oranges there won't work because the yellows are on the outside here. So I'm going to have to do something like, to try, will those yellows work? Maybe the yellows there perhaps. Certainly have to turn that around so yellow's not there. This is one of the interesting parts of the solve initially, and that last one, alright, that's better, and you can see even doing that you can kind of start to see the outline of the cube shape, and in fact one of those edges has miraculously placed, so we're going to take that as our first edge. But once you've got the centers lined up so that all the parts of the centers are flush and pointing towards each other, certainly on the three on the top, three on the bottom, you're ready to start. And what we'll do is we'll call this our top face, and we're going to call this the white cross effectively. So I've got one of the edges in. I look around here and see that this is an orange edge because it's got to join orange to orange. Here's an orange edge, and I note that the small end has got to be here and the large end has got to be here. So if I was to turn that in, you can see that that's left a gap there. It's not correctly placed. So that's got to go in wrongly. When I do that, or it's got to flip I should say, when I do that I've got to turn its position down, got to turn it onto its position and then undo those moves. And you can see that that has placed that orange edge nicely. Same sort of thing with the green. That's a single green piece, and this time the large edge has to be over here. Now you can see that if I turn it up, that's how it's going to place, but it's going to knock this out. So what we want to do here is just turn it off turn the center 2 turns, put it back on, and then turn it up. And that's placed that edge. And now looking for a 4th edge, which will be green-white. Well, that green-white is over here. Let's test it. Let's actually try and get it up. You can see that if I do that, it flips it. So what that means is that I've got to turn it off to one side, and I've got to now turn its position down, meet it in its position. You can see the white matches up there, and then turn that up, bring that back to retain that 4th edge. So just looking down at it from that, you can see the first 4 edges have been placed. Now I'm going to call that the bottom, and here are my middle layer edges, so I'm going to go about placing them. What have we got? Well, we've got a yellow one that needs to go here, and the short end has to be at the top, so I can just turn that down, down, up, up, and this is all just edge piece series to do this. I've got a green red, but I don't have that green red piece floating around. I've got a white that I need, and I do have that white piece floating around. And again, the short edge now has to go at the bottom. So I can turn that down, down, up, up, like that. I'm only looking to place 3 of these edges currently. So the third one I can place is this orange-blue. Now to check whether that's going to be right, I can just turn it down there and have a look. And clearly that's wrong. So I can turn that around one more, and now turn it down this way. And that has placed 3 of those middle layer edges, leaving a 4th one there as a gap. And now I look to the back, and I'm going to go and place these 2 at the back. The reason for that is just to leave me 3 at the end, which are close to each other. Now, in terms of what goes where, I can see that the center there is still intact. So if that center wasn't intact like that, the red wasn't matching up, I'd need to turn that first. The blue also matches up there. So the first edge piece here I'm looking at is this blue piece. Now the blue piece, let's see if that turns around there. You can see that when it turns around there, it goes in flipped. So what that tells me is that if I bring that around to the front and use this one as well, if I can flip that to there, that'll be fine. And so to flip it, I turn its position down, put it onto its position, and undo those moves. Now when I do that and turn it back, you'll see that that has indeed gone incorrectly. Now you'll also see that it's placed that, but I don't actually care about that yet, because I'm just trying to place this one at the back here. What is this piece? Well, that's a blue-yellow. Again, let's try it. Again, you can see that if it just turns in is going to be flipped, and so I'm going to bring that around and flip it over to there exactly the same way. When I bring it back, there's my third edge, there's the 2 at the back that I've done, and that'll leave 3 edges to go. So we've got to think one of these is going to go in incorrectly. As I turn it up, that red one will go in incorrectly. What about this one? In fact, there are a few cases you could get, and I think we might have one of them here. Yep, that's going to go in wrong or flipped, and that is also going to go in flipped. Now, if you have this case where you've got all 3 that want to turn in flipped, what you need to do is do an edge piece series, just a 3 cycle, that puts them into their wrong position. So instead of trying to turn the green red down here, I'll turn it to that position for my edge piece series. And what you'll find is that that will then leave you with a 3 cycle where 2 of the pieces will go in correctly. There's one of them. That's the wrong one, so the other one will be the red-yellow. That goes in correctly, and the third piece will need to flip. And so we've ascertained that that piece needs to flip. So once again, turn its position down, put it onto its position, undo those moves, which is just a matter of getting everything aligned, like so. And that has completed all of the edges, and now we can definitely see a cube shape. And we're not that far from the finish. So at this point our goal is to place our corners. All of these pieces here are corners, that's a corner as well. Now it happens that, do we have any in position already? That white one looks to be the only one. So we can do the corners in any order we like. That one's in position but twisted. We'll probably take it out and put it back in. What we're looking for with the corner piece series, which is what we're using to place corners, is for a corner to roll into its position. So as an example of what we're not looking for, that one there, that does roll but it's oriented incorrectly. So I'm not interested in that. But if I turn it around like this, now you can see that it rolls and it is correctly oriented. So that's going to roll to there. I need 3 pieces if it's going in this direction like that, and that means if the pieces are going in a clockwise direction, the first turn of my upper face is anti-clockwise. So it's that turn and then a left prime, and an upper turn, and then a and then a right. An upper anti-clockwise, and then a left, then an upper clockwise, and a right prime. And you can see that it's just cycled those 3 pieces and it's put that one in where it should be. Okay, what have we got next? Again, this blue piece can go here, and you can see that if we roll it that way, that's not going in correctly. If we roll it this way, that's nice and flush with there, and that will be the correct piece, the correct orientation. So this time we've got an anti-clockwise movement of pieces, so the first turn of the upper face is clockwise. And that blue one is in. Let's keep going. What red, you can see the red's got to roll down to there, so we'll involve these 3 pieces. Again, an anti-clockwise movement, so a clockwise turn of the upper face. Alright, what's next? Yellow. You can see yellow is going to come down to here. Now this is going to go back to there, and well, that's okay because that's not its position, so I'm quite happy with that. So these 3 pieces, clockwise movement, anti-clockwise turn of upper face. That yellow is in. You can see we're really making headway here. In fact, we've got 1, 2, we've only got 3 to go, so we are down to our end game. Now, ordinarily with the end game, I find with the axis cube that it's often easier just to place them all into position and end up with 2 left to twist. But if we can get them in all correct, we'll aim for that. So let's have a look first of all if we can do that. Well, we can see that this piece here, that one can roll down into that position. So if I call that my first piece rolling to there, then the question is my third piece, which is this orange piece over here, can I get it into this position so that it will roll across to there? So I'm just going to move it along the down face first of all. So this face down here is my down, no it's not, where is it? This is where it gets interesting. This face is my down face. So the first thing is I've just done a down turn, and I'm going to bring it up to there and see if that would roll in. But you can see it doesn't. So what about if instead of doing a down turn, I was to do 2 down turns and then bring it up? We'll see if that rolls in. No, that doesn't. So in that case, when it's going to be too messy to try and get it done, all I'm going to do is place one of them, and I will have the other one. I don't care where that goes, I'll just put it into the position here so that it's ready to be used. I know that this one will place and these 2 will be out of position, but we'll twist them in at the end. So we'll carry out the final corner piece series. will undo the setup moves that we had, and that was one of them. That was the other. You can just be guided by colours, and you can see that that piece has gone in. These two now need to twist. Okay, no big deal. In order to twist two pieces, we're just going to use a couple of edge piece series. So this one needs to twist anti-clockwise. The other one needs to twist clockwise. So I'm going to have the anti-clockwise one at the front left. So if this is my upper face, this is the up. In fact, I want it at the up left position. This is where it gets quite interesting. That's the upper face, that's the up left. This is the the back left is what I mean to be saying. So I'm going to turn the other piece up into that back left position. Now I've got these two pieces that need to twist. So what do? Well, I do down, down, up, up twice. And if you look carefully, you'll see that that green has indeed twisted correctly into position. So having done that, I turn the left face to put the other corner there, and I do the opposite down, down. So instead of turning the left or the front face first, I'm now going to turn the right face down first. And just keep everything aligned. It's one of the edge piece series, and the second one. Second one's done. Again, you can see that's gone nicely. It will undo that left turn, and you remember that the setup that we had was just to turn that back face. So we'll turn that into position, and that means that the axis cube is back to cube shape and is indeed solved.